Hi, welcome to day 30 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge. Today's prompt is about our most culturally inclusive decks, and I will talk about that a little bit, but I would also like to talk about something similar. I would like to cover this topic from this different aspect. I really hope that what I'm saying will not offend anyone. If the question is, do we need more culturally inclusive decks, the answer is obviously yes. However, on one hand, for decks which are not culturally diverse, we see the uproar with the tarot so wide. And on the other hand, whenever a creator who does not belong to that specific group of people tries to implement in their deck other cultures, races, or nationalities, or any other group of people, we see that immediately the response is cultural appropriation. So in that regard, I would say that each individual group needs to create their own tarot decks, their own decks that they feel is culturally appropriate for them. So this cannot be an expectation per se to all the creators, especially to those who do not experience this firsthand day by day and they have real experience with that. I think the most culturally inclusive decks are the decks where you are able to take away any reference to any specific race or age or gender or any other association that might be representative of specific groups. And for that, I think even better than having a balanced representation of white people and melanated people and Hispanic people and any other nationality or skin color or any other association with a certain group of people, in those decks you would still get misrepresentations. And the reason why I say that is, for example, if I pull a card which has a middle-aged Hispanic man as the person in the card, I would not associate myself with him. So unless the specific card that I'm pulling represents the group where I belong to, it would not speak to me. And in that regard, I think each group should have their own tarot deck. In areas of the world what are called the melting pot of many different nationalities, and where a person would live amongst many different nationalities, to them probably such a culturally diverse deck would be certainly appropriate. So this is the deck that I would say is my most culturally inclusive deck, because I really like these representations, how they strip away all kind of race or nationality or gender or body type. It just really, you can apply it to any person who is sitting opposite you, and really you don't need to step away from the personal representation in the card. I think in countries where people do live together with many different nationalities and their friends and family come from many different cultural backgrounds, it is very good to have culturally inclusive decks. Yet there are many places where this is not an experience for many people, where I think these representations would distance the deck from the users. What I think is a much more prevalent issue in the decks, and I don't think it gets half as much attention, is what we actually do experience wherever we live, is the appropriate age and body type representation in the decks. If we look around, most of the people are either not that young or not that thin as it is represented in most of the decks. And as Renee said from the Find Your Light channel, even if we get some age representations for the man, the women in the deck would still be 20-somethings or 30-somethings with very trim and slim bodies. So I just picked out a few cards. This is my Connolly deck, where you can see that men are represented at many different ages, but the women are all very young, barely pushing 40. I think the oldest would maybe be around 40, but they are very slim and trim and very pretty with long hair, very feminine. So this is, I think, a real issue, because I have many decks and now I went through all of them and I looked at the cards and person depictions, and I really have to say that this is such an underlying issue that I think it's a much bigger issue than the cultural representations. The other deck I wanted to show you is the Wheel of the Year Tarot by Los Scarabeo. Here again you see men depicted at different ages. Women are mostly very slim and trim, and even if they look a bit older or their face is, let's say, not a face for the fashion magazines, but still they are very much like the ideal body type. It's like we cannot accept that that's not necessarily a reality in our lives, that everybody is this one certain body type, and they might age a little, but there's no way they would ever, I wouldn't even say fat or overweight, but maybe not slim. So even we cannot accept regular sized women. It's just not acceptable in today's society. I think that is a major issue. This picture is from the Marial Tarot. I could only find this one picture where the female shape is not the fashion type shape. And also from my Bohemian Gothic Tarot, I found these three, maybe let's say non-conventional looking women. She is old and she is not the prettiest in the bunch, let's say. So there aren't many representations for women who are not really a model type or this socially accepted slim and trim body type. I have my Mystic Dreamer Tarot, and in this deck there are actually two depictions which try to include a different body shape, a more rounded or voluptuous body shape in the deck, and I have seen countless responses or feedback on social media how ugly this Queen of Wands is and how fat this Queen of Wands is, and that was very often from women. And I saw the same reaction in regard of the Wizard's Tarot, which I do not have, but I have looked at that deck, and there the Court of Pentacles is represented by very short, very stocky people. The Queen can even pass for a man. The outrage that came out when people were talking about that deck and this deck, about this one representation, where not a slim and trim person is depicted in the card, but a person whom I think, if you look around the street or your office, wherever you are, you would find at least a handful of people who would represent this body type, and for them this is the reality. And the other card that I really love, I don't know how much it is showing up on the picture, but actually she is a fairly trim young woman, but you can actually see the skin rippling on her stomach as she bends over, and I just love that they did not airbrush it or they did not Photoshop it away. So you can see it probably better now. So I think we need to be conscious of this aspect and this situation as well. On first hand, if somebody includes in their deck more a less than pretty body type or face, we should really not immediately react to it negatively, because by that we create this reality and we refuse to acknowledge those people who are less than average shape, who are different from the average shape and the expected ideal look. And I really felt to talk about this aspect of the cards. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to reading your comments, how you feel about this issue, what you think, and do you agree with me or not. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.